started. All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you for being with us this evening. Both the mayor and Alderman Whalen is not able to join us this evening, so I'll be leading the meeting tonight. And the first thing we have up on our agenda is the public hearing on the tax rate. And this is the tax levy for the year 2024, a tax of 67.50 cents upon each and every $100 assessed valuation of real estate and personal property within the corporate limits of the city of Salem, Missouri for general revenue purposes. So at this time, I will open this up for public hearing, and anyone wishing to speak on the tax levy is welcome to come to the podium and be heard. The rate is 67.50 cents. It's 67.50 cents for every $100 assessed.
7 cents.
67.5, yeah.
Do I need to go to the podium?
Yes, please, so everyone can hear you.
I came on the computer.
That's okay.
I will. I think one of the problems that many people have, do I need to turn anything?
No, you're good.
Okay. Is when we're told something in the city that later on we're told, well, sorry, but we're going to have to raise rates. One of the problems with this is we've just had a rate increase in the sewer. After we had the big display, if you don't vote this in, you're going to have to pay a lot. So everybody, you've got to vote for it. So we passed it, and then we got a raise. So it's kind of hard to say now, well, we need more money. You probably do. What I'm saying is somehow we're not communicating enough to the citizens, because when we say when we do one thing and then get the increase anyway, and now there's another thought of getting another increase, I think you need to consider that. And then I understand that possibly, I'll shorten this. I had a complaint today about somebody saying, well, I heard that we're going to try to hire somebody to bring in more commerce. Well, that means another salary. Not that it's bad, but in this economy, not many people are starting new businesses. So I think you need to think about that too. And it's just, those are just thoughts. Sorry, I wasn't prepared.
Okay, no, thank you. And I should clarify, this is not an increase, and this is the same rate it has been the past couple of years, and what's being proposed tonight is going to be the same rate as it was the prior year.
There's some on the podium. On the podium, there's a sheet. It looks like this. Okay, and so it shows, going all the way back to 1998, what the tax rate has been, the property tax rate for the city. And this year, this rate that you see on the screen, the .6750, is not an increase. It's exactly the same. We are required by state law to hold public hearings every year on what that property tax rate is. So this is not asking for an increase.
I wanted to get that other off my chest.
Gotcha. Nope.
So,
Got it.
no, thank you.
I just wanted to make sure everyone understood that.
And on this sheet as well, if you want to look at it, one column is from 98 was the approved rate by the board since 1998. The other column is the one that's proposed by the state auditor's office. So that way you have both sets of numbers if you want one.
Anyone else that would like to speak on the tax levy? Okay. Seeing none, I will go ahead and close the public hearing. And at this time, I will call the regular Alderman meeting to order and ask everyone to please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and prayer. pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day, and we thank you for this community and everyone in it. We ask for your blessing and help as we're gathered together this hour to conduct city business and make decisions that will affect our community. And we thank you for all that you do for us. It's in Jesus' name that we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, we'll go ahead and go over roll call. Mayor Parker's absent. Alderwoman Dent.
Here.
I am present. Alderman Whalen is absent. Alderwoman Cisco.
Present.
And we got City Administrator Burbridge.
Present?
City Clerk Kohler.
Present.
City Attorney Weber.
Present.
Public Works Director Payne. Present. Chief of Police Chase. Present. Finance Director Houston. And I see we have Jared Brown with Code Enforcement, and we have Melissa with Parks, Josh with Electric, Josh with Wastewater, Chris with Water, and I believe that is all. All right. Next up on the agenda is the approval of the agenda, and we will need to pull Resolution 19-2024 from our agenda. That's regarding the agreement on the 911 services. We're still negotiating on that contract, and this won't be the final version. So we'll need a motion and a second.
I would move to approve the agenda with the exclusion of the contract for the 911.
I second the motion.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. I'll call for the vote. Alderwoman Cisco.
Yes.
Alderwoman Dent.
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Moving on to the consent agenda.
I would move to approve the consent agenda.
I second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. I'll call for the vote. Alderwoman Cisco.
Yes.
Alderwoman Dent.
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Next up is public comments, and we have one form submitted, and that's David Jordan regarding the 4th Street Mall. And ask Mr. Jordan to please come to the podium and
Yes, sir. Excuse me. I understand most of this matter here is civil matter, but does the city allow a business to operate their business with flashlight without the electric being on in a store? That's why I'd like to ask you, my representative asked me to come up here and ask you guys about that.
okay.
You know, is it legal to run a store without the electric being on? Walk through there with a flashlight. That's why I wanted to ask you.
Okay.
And that's about all I got to say. The rest of it, like I said, is a civil matter.
Okay.
Could you answer that? Is that legal in the city of Salem?
So this is, well, do you want
Do
to?
you care if I address this?
Sure, go ahead.
So if you have concerns with regard to code enforcement, or whether there's a violation of some sort of safety code within the city of Salem, you should report it to the code officer, which would be Jared Brown, or you should report it to law enforcement. And if there's a violation,
I
then-
did report to them, sir.
Okay,
And
then,
they told me to take it up with the city.
okay.
That's the
Well-
reason I'm here.
Well, if there's a violation, then the process is they would prepare a report documenting the code violation. There's various steps depending on what the violation is that they have to walk through. And then if it's something that reaches the level of a citation, then they would submit a citation, and then it would be prosecuted in municipal court. So-
Okay, I
so-
thank you. Now, who do I need to get a hold of to do that?
So law enforcement or code enforcement, depending on what the circumstances are. But,
Code enforcement, you said.
right,
Okay. Now, law enforcement, will I get a hold of the sheriff or the city?
if it's a violation of city code, you would contact the city police
City
department.
police. Okay, I thank you, sir, for your time.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr.
You
Jordan.
both have a good evening.
Yep, you
Thank
too.
you.
Okay, so moving on to the next item of the agenda is the state transportation presentation, and we have Mr. Williams going to do a presentation for us.
So,
Give me a second.
yeah, no, you're fine. Just a clarification. I wouldn't necessarily call it a state transportation. I'm not here with the state. I'm not anybody dealing with that. I'm just a citizen that saw an opportunity. So I wanted to kind of give you guys an overview of what I found so far and kind of give a model of what I'm thinking. I think I've talked to most of you before about trying to get a public city bus, much like Houston, Missouri has. They have and I'll talk a little bit more about that here in a second. But that's what this is about. So so I started looking through it, and it's through the federal 5311 grant. Go ahead to the next one. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what that is, talk about some of the transportation needs that I've seen and found within our own community. Then I'll talk a little bit about Houston and how their program is doing and how they've worked with it, as well as give kind of a financial breakdown of what I think this would run the city. The overall goal here is to talk to you guys because I would like for the city to apply for this grant, and I would help with that, obviously. But I want to make sure that you guys are on board before I start doing a bunch of work trying to apply for a grant just to get shut down by what we see here. So I wanted to give some of the numbers and stuff and get a little bit into the details here. So the 5311 grant is a formula grant, meaning there's a certain percentage of the state's budget and everything that has to go towards this, or there's a grant amount, and then certain portions of it have to go to, it's based on a formula. So that's what that means. With this one of the pieces of the formula are that the city has to be less than 50,000 people. That we obviously qualify, and it has to have no transportation or little transportation available. So right now that's kind of where we lie. We don't have any sort of public transportation system readily available. There is a paid for SMTS. I believe they also go through this system to help fund some of their operations, but I'm not 100% there. I do have a link if you want to look up the fact sheet about the 5311 grant provided on the packet. If you want to go on. So, transportation needs in Salem. So we know from MRPC, our Regional Planning Commission, that Salem does have a need for public transportation or alternate modes of transportation. But in a recent study that they performed within our area, looking at Dent County, not Salem specifically, so I'm going to take Dent County and kind of assume that those numbers sort of apply to Salem as well. Dent County was shown to have 15,000 residents and 6,400 households about. There were 365 households without a personal vehicle at all. And no real means of transportation. If you take Salem at 5,000 people and kind of third the number that comes from Dent County, that would be an estimated around 122 households that we have here in Salem that don't have any sort of personal transportation. So that makes it difficult when you're trying to go get groceries. You either have to rely on somebody else or call ahead of time for SMTS. SMTS has a 1 day before you have to plan ahead. Some of the other interesting things about our area that would help, I believe this would help a low income housing the households with low income, as well as the elderly who cannot get out to drive. They may have a vehicle, but may not be able to drive it, or just may not be able to drive in totality. So I wanted to give some of the stats on that. Salem does have about a 20% elderly, people over 65, and it continues to grow that we've seen in the last census. We also have about 1,100 people that qualify as disabled, which may not be able to drive. There's also the aspect of low and no income or fixed income houses, which may not be able to afford a car, and that runs around 18%. You can't necessarily put all those together and say 60% of Salem needs a car, but because there's going to be people that move into all three of those categories. But there is a need for some sort of public transportation, in my opinion. You can move. So, looking at that, I decided to take a look at somebody that has used this grant funding to try to better their transportation systems. Houston, Missouri does have a shuttle system like this. It is a free shuttle providing 20 stops with 4 loops around the city. They also do a pickup of their sheltered workshop people in the morning and take them to work and retrieve them from work and take them home at the end of the day as well. So if you look, their schedule's rather shortened. It starts at 8:30 and then ends at 2:30. That's because before 8, they're trying to get the folks to sheltered workshop. They have around 35 riders a day, which is pretty good for their system. And for if you look at SMTS Connect and other forms of rural transit, they're one of the most successful pieces of public transit and bus systems that we can see. And it is provided absolutely of no cost to the riders. I think that we can use their model to do something for our people as well. If you estimate that they have about 2,200 people and are able to do this, I think we can do the same. When we have 5,000 people, I think we can even get additional ridership and just overall enhance our options for these people. So go ahead and move. Yeah. So I did a cost breakdown. This is going to be difficult to see from a distance, especially for those in the crowd. I'm sorry. The red on this graph is the federal grant. As you can see, it provides a lot of assistance here. The 5311 grant, if you are running if you are doing capital expenditures like buying bus or replacing equipment, things like that, capital expenditures, it covers up to 80% of, there's an 80% and a 20% local match. So you say like, okay, if we wanted to get a bus, the bus costs $100,000, 80,000 of that comes from federal funding. 20,000 of that would be, of course, on us. There is a local participation here. And you can see that kind of maneuvers a little around. The 5311 grant provides 50% operating assistance to operational expenditures. So that could be anything from your gas to your bus driver. It can do 50% of that. It can also do 80% if you run a non-fixed route paratransit. So if you are doing something with the ADA and disabled, a route that complies to their standards, which is a non-fixed route. So it's not straight along a route. You can deviate from it to pick them up from their house, which I would recommend. It can cover up to 80% of operational expenses as well. So that's something. So yeah, overlooking what Houston over the past 10 years has done, I estimated it to be around $40,000 is what they spend on average for their system, providing a completely free extra transit option. So keep that in mind. Move on. All right, and this is impossible to read because it is so small. But basically right here, I kind of broke down and I had, when you submit for this grant, you do have to provide a sort of model where you have your capital expenditures, what you plan to buy, how you plan to run it, So I kind of ran through some numbers looking at their financial reports and took a breakdown of theirs and applied it to what I think we could do. And I have a summary of the total expenditures, the operational expenditures, the capital expenditures with the grant, as well as a summary with grant funding down below. That's what these categories are. I would encourage you to look at them,
And we
not
can
from here on the
print
screen.
out copies with numbers.
Yeah. I would encourage you not to look at them here, but on the packet itself.
Yeah.
Let's see, I think is there more? If no- Yeah, so I did take a look. It doesn't have to be new either, so we could look at used bus options. So I was kind of taking a look at ADA buses because I would like to try to run an ADA route. New and purchase range, you can run from about a new bus runs around $110,000 to $140,000, which with an annual maintenance cost of $2,000 to $3,000. You know, depreciation over 15 years, you kind of get some idea, and then you could have warranty cover your repairs, or you could get used. I was taking a look at that, and I provided some of those numbers, some options, if you would. We could try to go for used vehicle as well, something that we know works, but it may have additional maintenance costs. So I was taking a look at some of the ideas of those, but that's about what you're looking at for a capital expenditure. Go ahead, yeah, so basically, to summarize it, I want to try to get some transportation in. I ran the numbers. We have a vulnerable population, I believe, that could really use something like this. We could really, I think we qualify perfectly for this 5311 grant. Other towns in our area are using it, and I think this is something that we could do. It would likely, over the years, cost around $50,000 to the city coffers per year, so I wanted to make that 100%, transparent there. It would cost around $40,000 to $50,000 a year, my estimation. But I think this is something that we could really go for, and with your, and I'm not asking for any sort of vote or anything here, but I just wanted to get your opinion to see, is this something you would want to pursue? Or would you mind if I kept doing it, or is that, do you think looking at something around $40,000 a year may be too much at this time?
I have some questions.
Sure.
Does SMTS service Houston?
SMTS does service Houston. I think they service down in the southeastern corner. So I do believe that they service, Texas County as well. That is something that I was looking at, just partnering with SMTS Connect or SMTS and trying to build a Connect route just for this. This would open up more options for the city to be able to maneuver the transit options, because this would allow the city to apply for this grant. SMTS already has, I think they get funding through this already.
So, and there would be no problem in having both in town?
No, SMTS
If there's
still has
enough
I think
for both?
SMTS still has a role to play. This would be a deviated fixed route that would be continuous.
Okay,
So it would run people from, and just as a quick side, I did take a poll. Now it's through Facebook, so you have to take it with a grain of salt. But I did take a poll to see if anybody would, how many people would like to see this in a neighborhood group. We eventually had 1,500 votes on said poll with about 25 different options. People were saying they wanted Walmart, they wanted some of the senior housing, they wanted to go to their doctor's offices. It would be a constant route. Having this open to where it would be, you wouldn't have to call ahead of time. You could just go to the bus stop, or we could do a deviated route. Houston does a deviated route where you do call ahead of time, much like SMTS, and they'll come pick you up. They just need a few hours notice instead of a full day, and then there's no charge to it as well. So that would be, but we had we had a good amount of comments, we had a good amount of feedback from that. I would say about 75% of the comments were positive. There were some people saying, this is going to cost a lot, it's not feasible in a town this size. But as I showed, Houston's running it about 2,200.
So my next question
Yeah.
is, how does Houston's financial condition compare with Salem's financial condition
In terms of overall condition,
to
I-
support this?
in supporting this, they use it out of a general fund.
Okay.
So that was something when we passed the general fund increase of 1%, we saw that jump in the revenues for the city. I'm just thinking about taking a very small portion of that and applying it to this. Now, I don't know if it's all completely taken by, or, already, what we're doing with it completely today. I know it goes towards the police, the animal control and everything else. But they use it through their general sales tax fund. In terms of total budgetary condition, I couldn't tell you.
Okay.
So, is this something you think you would like to pursue?
I think that we should look into it more. I personally would like to see just a couple options. This one, I think you did a really good job researching, and I think you did a good job of explaining Houston's model. I would also like to see SMTS, what their Connect services looks like, and what the cost would be to the city, and if they can provide similar, same services that this
Yeah.
idea would.
I can answer some of those questions, and I'm sorry if I'm taking up too much time
No,
here,
you're
but I did meet with SMTS. They seemed reluctant to try to do something. They just instilled SMTS Connect in Rolla, Missouri, and from what I've understood, as of last month, I think they've had she said 10 riders for the month, and it doesn't seem like it's going to be an option, and I don't know if that's something in their business model or what's going on with that, but it didn't seem feasible to stick around. That's why I wanted to go through with the Houston thing, because not only would we have this as an asset and a capital asset, because you could use this to do something like, and Houston, I called their bus driver. I'm sorry to get off track again, but this provides us additional options, say for fireworks at the Commons. You could have a bus transit system running around at that time. You could use it for that, or parades, things like that. So there's other options that it presents us, having our own system, modifications to the route, who we get to hire, how, if the bus gets canceled, or, who we have to run it, versus it would be pretty rigid if we were to run through SMTS. I suspected about 60,000 a year in totality to run a SMTS bus as a Connect bus if the city was to, try to buy into that. So.
Okay. Go ahead.
I'd be curious why SMTS chose Rolla versus a smaller rural town to test out the SMTS Connect. I feel like the Rolla area probably has more means of transportation for people, to where a smaller route like Salem or
You were
Houston
correct.
or something would utilize the SMTS Connect more.
Right, yeah. Rolla has things like a taxi service. It has Uber drivers that are pretty consistent. While Uber is available in our town and Lyft is available in our town, we don't have that many drivers because we don't have the demand of that. SMTS operates typically in larger communities, it seems. So the other communities that they ran in was Farmington, Poplar Bluff. Both of those cities had an SMTS Connect piece to it. I don't know how they were doing. The only one I knew of was the Rolla one in terms of ridership, and that's because I think it's brand new. Hopefully it catches on. But as far as I know, those are the only 3 cities that have an SMTS Connect, which is a different program from their usual buses.
Sure. Yeah, and I know, at least in Southwest Missouri, and I think they have a presence in other counties in the state, the Oats Transportation. They have, I think, both the vans and the buses, and I've seen them in communities like Mountain Grove and Ava and some of those other smaller communities. I don't know if they have a bus cycle like what you're proposing here. It may be similar services to what SMTS does with the, you have to call in a day ahead to get scheduled ride. But I don't know if they would provide a similar service as well, or if there's a territory where they can't be in the county, or.
Yeah, I'd be happy to look into it and get back to you guys if you want me to email you or any kind of additional options that are out there.
Yeah.
I didn't look through that as much as, I knew SMTS had a hub in town, and I knew that Houston was running this scheduled program, so
Sure.
I kind of took into their model.
Sure.
I appreciate you doing the research and putting this presentation together. It's a lot of good information, and it's very much a need here in Denton County, so.
Yeah.
Yep, so-
Okay.
Yep, so-
I'll get back to you guys and with some additional options and see if there's anything else. If not, I'll try to pursue this, because I think the grant is due at the end of September, so.
Okay.
I just wanted to make sure, like, should I pursue this, or is it just gonna get immediately shot down as soon as I bring it after a grant? So I wanted to make you aware.
Sure, all right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kyle.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
may I ask, Kyle, do you
Yes.
know, okay, so if the grant is due the end of September, what is that time frame for award? Do you know what kind of that cycle, what
I-
that looks like?
I don't know when the award is given. I
Okay.
think it's sometime in December or January.
Okay.
There's not a lot of information out there, and I don't think this grant is extremely competitive, which is surprising to me.
Okay,
Because when I take a look at how many grants are awarded, you
Right.
know, it is low in terms of participation, I would say.
okay.
But that's all I found.
Gotcha, thank you.
All right, thanks, Kyle.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on, we're on to bids, and the first one we have is the streetlight bid approval. And we got Josh from the electric department.
Good evening. So we're in the need of some streetlights, and it's just like everything else in the world, the prices are up and down everywhere, and they won't guarantee a price for more than 3 to 4 days. So I'm asking for a do not exceed amount of $11,500 to purchase as many as I can. So we will have them in stock for replacement of either old ones that we can't repair or new ones that people want to pay for to be put up on their properties or anything like that. So
Okay.
we have 15,000 in that budget right now, so that still leaves some in that budget if something were to happen. I don't really want to go over what I've suggested, because things do happen throughout the year that we can't control, so.
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
That's basically it.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from the board? All right, do we have a motion to approve the request?
I would move to approve the request for.
I second the motion.
11.5.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. I'll call for the vote. Alderwoman Cisco,
Yes.
Alderwoman Dent,
Yes.
and I vote yes as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next up, we have is the Al Brownfield Lift Station Pump Replacement bid. And we got Mr. Josh Hunt.
We're proposing a replacement flight pump for our Brown lift station. The current pump's, fairly aged. We've got a current contract with Van Venner Pump on them performing, inspection and oil changes and repairs on our lift stations. Their recommendation on the last site visit that they had was to replace this pump, as by the Department of Natural Resources, we're required to have 1 spare and 2 in operation. So this pump's just at the age it's, expected to fail in the near future.
Okay. And then, so we have 2 other lift stations as well? That's.
Well, we currently have 7 lift stations, but without Brown, there's 2 pumps required to be in place and are operational.
Mhm.
We do have a spare, but as soon as I drop the spare in there, we're gonna be without the 3rd required pump.
Okay. And then, it doesn't look like, this wasn't a budgeted item, so we would have to do a budget adjustment, is that correct?
Currently, I believe we've got enough money in our reserve
Mhm.
in the specialty services to consume this out of their existing budget.
Sure. Okay. Is there any questions from the board? we have a motion for approval?
I move that we approve funding for the Al Brown lift station pump.
I will second that motion.
Thank you.
We have a motion and a second. I'll call for the vote. Alderwoman Dent?
Yes.
Alderwoman Cisco?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Thanks,
you.
Josh. All right. So next up, we have new and miscellaneous business. So we'll move on to resolution number 20-2024.
Resolution number 20-2024, a resolution of the Board of Aldermen of the City of Salem, Missouri, authorizing the mayor or authorized representative to execute an agreement with the Industrial Development Authority of Dent County, Missouri, for the position of Economic Development Director.
Okay. Sally, you want to talk about this?
Sure. So this agreement, previously, the city had agreement with both the IDA and Dent County, where they contributed to the economic development salary. So this is an updated, this looks very different than the informal agreement we had previously. The IDA has already voted at their board meeting to contribute $1,000 a month for up to 36 months total. And so this contract is just putting that into format. You know, there are a few stipulations. Payments don't start until we hire someone. If there's a vacancy during that time, payments get suspended until it's refilled. So this just kind of cleans up some what-ifs.
Sure.
So like I said, the IDA has already voted to approve that expenditure when that time comes. So.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions from the board? Okay, do we have a motion to approve the resolution number 20-2024?
I would move to approve resolution number 20-2024.
I second that motion.
Oh, never mind, sorry.
So, okay. So we have a motion and a second. I'll call for the vote. Alderwoman Cisco?
Yes.
Alderwoman Dent?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. All right, next up we have is resolution number 21-2024.
Resolution number 21-2024, a resolution modifying resolution number 4-2022 to incorporate changes in the Affordable Housing Program Modified Agreement for the Welcome Home 2021 project.
So this modification, the original agreement was for 25 houses and a total of 500,000. It's been modified down to 15 homes with a total of 300,000. We had actually, like I said, I thought this was taken care of, and then they just a couple weeks ago sent this to me for the final agreement. In the agreement itself, you'll see it still has some of the original numbers in the agreement. I did ask about that. They said that's how it needs to be. So this, along with this modification, was the extension of 1 year, so that's to February 1st of 2025 to complete this program.
Okay, thank you. Any
And
questions?
just as a final, sorry, I did apply for the extension and this change in this agreement back in January. So like I said, I just got this, and you can see that per their letter that introduces it just a couple weeks ago.
Okay. All right. Any questions or discussion? Okay. Do we have a motion for resolution number 21-2024? Oh, yeah, you probably can't vote, can you? Okay, so we'll probably need to table this. Okay. I guess I can make a motion, or Catherine, you want to make a motion to table?
That it be tabled.
Okay,
I move that we table this.
okay, and I will second that. And I don't know if we need a vote on that, but we'll move on to the reading of bills. This is going to be the second reading. First up, we have bill number 3617.
Oh,
We have a flame drilling
I'm
invoice
sorry.
on the agenda.
Yeah.
My apologies.
Oh, yes, okay. So we'll discuss the Flynn Drilling Company invoice.
So we had the lightning strike that affected our main water well number 4 and destroyed the well pump. Well motor, wire, and pipe were replaced by Flynn Drilling Company. Since this was a time-sensitive matter, there was no time to put it out for bid. The pump had to be replaced immediately. They had a crane in proximity, so we got them over there and they put it in. City set aside funds and reserve accounts for emergency purchases such as this and requests to use the funds out of the reserve account to pay for the replacement of the pump. Based upon that, we have in the F25 budget, the water reserve account has a balance of $239,576. And I believe we were asking for the pump ended up being $81,890. So an increase in budgeted expenditures to be paid for out of the water reserve fund, so.
My question is, does the city have insurance that's going to cover? Do you have any idea how much?
But we don't know how much yet. We are submitting it. We don't know how.
Okay.
Yes. But we are submitting it as a claim.
Okay. So it won't be the full expenditure of this. We might get a portion of it back.
Yeah, we don't know yet.
Right, yeah. Okay. Any questions?
No questions. I just want to thank you guys for all the time and energy you put into correcting the problem while it was down. So it's very much appreciated.
I appreciate that. The water crew, electric crew, there was a lot of all hands on deck on that, and thankful that Flynn could get down here and get it done. So, I'll speak more about it in my report.
Yeah.
So.
And very thankful that it was put out to social media so quickly for everybody to be aware. So thank you all city staff for the hands on deck to make sure everybody was aware and the issue was solved. Nothing else on my behalf, but I would move to approve the $81,890 increase to the budget for expenditures.
I second that motion.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. I'll call for the vote. Alderwoman Cisco.
Yes.
Alderwoman Dent.
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. All right, so next up we have reading of bills, and this is the second reading of these bills. First up is bill number 3617.
Bill number 3617, an ordinance establishing rates for electric services provided by the city of Salem, Missouri.
Any questions or discussions? Okay, do we have a motion for bill number 3617?
I move that we approve Bill 3617.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. I'll call for the vote. Alderwoman Dent.
Yes.
Alderwoman Cisco.
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Next up is bill number 3618.
Bill number 3618, an ordinance establishing new rates for sewer services provided by the city of Salem, Missouri.
Any questions or discussions on this bill? Okay, do we have a motion for bill number 3618?
I will move to approve Bill number 3618.
Okay,
I'll second the motion.
okay. So we have a motion and a second. I'll call for the vote. Alderwoman Cisco.
Yes.
Alderwoman Dent.
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Next up is bill number 3620.
Bill number 3620, an ordinance amending the annual budget for the city of Salem, Missouri beginning July 1, 2023, and appropriating funds pursuant thereto.
Okay. Any discussion for bill number 3620? Okay. Do we have a motion for bill number 3620?
I will move to approve Bill number 3620.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Okay. I'll call for the vote. Alderwoman Cisco,
Yes.
Alderwoman Dent,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes as well. Next up is Bill number 3621.
Bill number 3621, an ordinance of the City of Salem, Missouri to authorize the mayor to execute contracts between the City of Salem, Missouri and the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission to aid in shoulder resurfacing at Route J and MacArthur Street locations.
Any questions or discussions for this? Do we have a motion for Bill number 3621?
I'd move to approve Bill number 3621.
I second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. I'll call for the vote. Alderwoman Cisco,
Yes.
Alderwoman Dent,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes as well. And the next set of reading of bills is going to be the first and second reading. And first up is Bill number 3623.
Bill number 3623, an ordinance levying for the year 2024 a tax of 67.50 cents upon each and every $100 assessed valuation of real estate and personal property within the corporate limits of the City of Salem, Missouri for general revenue purposes. Permission to read second reading by caption.
Yes, please.
Bill number 3623, an ordinance levying for the year 2024 a tax of 67.50 cents upon each and every $100 assessed valuation of real estate and personal property within the corporate limits of the City of Salem, Missouri for general revenue purposes.
Okay. Any questions or discussions? Okay. Do we have a motion for Bill number 3623?
I'll move to approve Bill number 3623.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. I'll call for the vote. Alderwoman Cisco,
Yes.
and Alderwoman Dent,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes as well. Next up is Bill number 3624.
Bill number 3624, an ordinance to rezone property located at 905 and 907 West Scenic Rivers Boulevard from residential to commercial. Permission to read second reading by caption.
Yes.
Bill number 3624, an ordinance to rezone property located at 905 and 907 West Scenic Rivers Boulevard from residential to commercial.
Where is this at?
Jared, get mine.
I thought you could read my mind, Jared.
I could, just making sure. This property and two others were brought to Planning and Zoning Commission last Tuesday, the 6th of August, for public hearing and recommendation. After the public hearing, the board, or commission, I guess, unanimously voted to recommend the zoning of all three of these properties to you. So as far as the map goes, the far left-hand corner, you can see says Walmart there at the bottom. That's the Walmart store. All the yellow is currently zoned commercial. It's a little hard to see, for me anyway, this far away, but the property outlined in black was rezoned last year as commercial. It doesn't show that on the map, but I wanted to make sure that we knew that that's what that was. This property in particular is the one outlined in red.
Okay. And then the
Currently-
the next two bills will be regarding the properties just south of this, correct?
Yeah, the
Okay.
next two will be about the blue and the orange.
Yeah.
Currently, the property is, was formerly Walford Brothers Plumbing. Now it's
Glass
plumbing
House.
company, Glass House,
Tri-
yes.
And TriCat, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions or discussions? All right. Do we have a motion for Bill number 3624?
I'll move to approve Bill number 3624.
I second the motion.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. I'll call for the vote. Alderwoman Cisco,
Yes.
Alderwoman Dent.
Yes.
And I'll vote yes as well. All right, next up is Bill number 3625.
Bill number 3625, an ordinance to rezone property located at 900 West Hobson Street from residential to commercial. Permission to read second reading by caption.
Yes.
Bill number 3625, an ordinance to rezone property located at 900 West Hobson Street from residential to commercial.
Again, this property was brought up, Planning and Zoning Commission last Tuesday. Again, they voted unanimously to recommend it to rezone. This one is the orange one, that is currently Rommel's, or formerly, I'm not sure if it's in transition yet or not, Rommel's Locksmith building.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions or discussions? Do you have a motion for bill number 3625?
I move that we approve bill number 3625.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. I'll call for the vote. Alderwoman Dent?
Yes.
Alderwoman Cisco?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes as well. Next up is bill number 3626.
Bill number 3626, an ordinance to rezone property located at 909 West Scenic Rivers Boulevard from residential to commercial. Permission to read second reading by caption.
Yes.
Bill number 3626, an ordinance to rezone property located at 909 West Scenic Rivers Boulevard from residential to commercial.
This property, same as before. This one is formerly Auto Connection, now TriCat Restoration. The one outlined in blue.
Okay. Any questions or discussions? Okay. Do we have a motion for bill number 3626?
I move that we approve bill number 3626.
I'll second that.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. I'll call for the vote. Alderwoman Dent?
Yes.
Alderwoman Cisco?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes as well. Thanks, Jared. Next up is reports of city officials, and we will go to Ms. Burbridge.
No report this evening.
No report? Okay.
Well, let me back up. I just want to say thank you to staff for all of the hard work over the past several weeks with the issues that we've had and all the extra time that's been put in. It's been greatly appreciated and could not do it without the team that we have. So thank you all.
Absolutely. Thank you. Okay. Next up is Public Works, and we got Mr. Payne.
Thanks. Just going to go ahead and run through construction for the past couple of weeks. Finished a large water spillway in an area causing problems off of Jennifer Boulevard. They're working on a remodel of the animal shelter as they can get over there. They're kind of on multiple projects as we go. Working on an office space at the administrative building, and they've started work on 2 other sidewalk repair projects as well as finishing some curb projects. We'll move on to streets. Streets has a new hire. We picked up Gary Longrear that'll be starting soon, helping with heavy equipment and such. They started painting crosswalks and parking places across town. I don't know if you've seen that in preparation for school. It's been a little difficult to fully focus on painting because we've had a rainier summer than usual, so they're out actually mowing as much as possible at the same time. They dug out over 600 feet of trench out at the airport and helped bury the new airport power line for the hangars out there. That should be wrapping up here.
The end of the month.
Final inspections coming up the end of the month, and that'll be powered up and ready to go. It's really, really a nice setup. Like I said, mowed and brush hogged all over the city, cleaned out stormwater drains, ditches, and debris from bridges. Yard waste maintenance is always conducted weekly. That yard waste lot sees a whole lot of folks and waste. So the mechanic, I like to mention the mechanic working over there underneath the streets, repaired multiple vehicles, trailers, the paint sprayer, and the vac truck, keeping the vac truck out there so we can use it. It was used on a project today, so constantly being used. Assisted with sewer repairs and water line repairs, sharpened lawnmower blades for the cemetery crew who are staying busy around over there keeping up with all the grass growth. Repaired the fuel pump out at the airport. Cemetery crew mowing and trimming quite a bit, and they help set up and tear down for funerals as usual, so. Wastewater treatment plant, report included for, I've got a report that I'll read over here for review of the smoke testing findings real quick. Daily testing continues, no issues going on out there. Just a quick summary. Unfortunately, I mean, Josh Hunt did a great job of getting with Missouri Rural Water Treatment and having them help us with smoke testing. They came out, they got day one done, and then unfortunately, we had a report of a sewage leak out on the bone break that they had to go out and work on. So we stopped the smoke testing. They found missing clean out caps as they worked their way around the line, missing lid. So some of those low-lying areas can get so much water flow that they can pick up a lid and carry it off. So we couldn't find it. So let's see, clean outs were leaking. There was a lid offset that they're gonna reseal or resealed. And clog ended the scheduled testing basically. So they were missing clean out caps and such. We didn't find any major openings or anything, and that was the goal, to find out if we had a bad issue. So, but basically they were pulled off and had to go. There was a report to DNR of a leak on the bone break center. So we'll go ahead and run through the water department here before I get to the 2 DNR visits. Keeping on top of their existing pumps and system turbidity. Repaired water line break on Center Street. They have 2 new hires, Bill Voiles and Chris Price will be starting with the team, so should be helpful. Their backhoe was down for probably 10 days, and we got that back online and in service. I have a request for bid out for a backhoe for backup that'll be used over at the construction department and be on loan. That'll put us at 3. We were down to 1 at one point, equipment breaks. So we had 2 DNR complaints, visits, and findings. So the first one was when we were doing the smoke testing, Josh and his crew, we got contacted by Camden Bryant of DNR. He's an environmental specialist, and said that there was a wastewater spill out on the bone break center. Josh immediately responded over there. They located it. There's an 8-inch line that breaks off of Hickory Street and runs across deep down into the bone break center. They got out there, got a hold of Mr. Godey to see if we could get equipment down there and tread lightly on the center, of course, try not to disturb anything. But it was, excuse me, deep down in there. They got the trailer with the sewer clean out line, and Josh was able to actually run a root cutter up through there and get that line open. So during that DNR visit, Mr. Bryant asked me why I thought that we had it had been reported to them instead of us, and I told him, I said I wasn't sure, maybe someone didn't know to call the city but instead called DNR, and he said you should work with your citizens, and I said we'll do our best to make sure that they know. If they call the admin building during business hours, we come out and take care of that immediately. Or if they call the police department after hours, it would be worked as well. So kudos to Josh and his crew. That was a real tough job. They were sweating it out and got it taken care of. The second DNR complaint came a few days later. There was a water quality complaint. Michael Wyatt, DNR environmental specialist, came down. He said he had had 4 to 5 complaints from the same citizen. And so he came down and said, we're going to go ahead and do a testing. He went to the residents nearest the complainant residence and took a water sample, and that water sample was clear and the chlorine was on point. So that's the end of that. He said he would let the resident know that, and that's how that turned out. So well, I'm going to jump to the electric department. Does anybody have questions? I'm sorry, I'm really going after this because I've got a lot I want to put in here. So our electric department, digging and laying line in roughly a 600-foot trench over at the high school. So for the new high school construction trades building, we've got to finish up a power line that runs all the way up through there. So Josh and his guys have been really getting after it, which is appreciated. We hired back Lonnie Mosley. We have power lines that need trimmed and stuff, and I wanted to make sure we got on it. And Josh and I have been working together to see what we could put together. We are putting in, basically, we've got a request for bid that I will be putting out for main power line, power feed lines, getting those cleared. But this is for residential stuff. There's some folks that have put in work orders and we just haven't had the time and manpower to get to it. My plan is we're all about getting it done, so we're going to get it done as best we can. Disconnects, reconnects for non-payment, locates. Josh's crew got those knocked out. Fixed repairs, repaired several streetlights. Assisted other departments as needed. I can't say enough about how much, and I know I talk about this every time, the crew's working together. When you see an electric department guy down in a ditch working on a sewer line or a water line helping out, I mean, it's just what we've got going on and how it's developing has just gotten really great. So kudos to the troops there, the guys, sorry. Assisted other departments, like I said, as needed, conducted at least 10 runway light repairs out at the airport. Removed a tree locally that was about to threaten a power line and trimmed others per work order. So, let's see, sorry. We got down to streets. They got the mechanics. Sorry, I'm just flipping through here. Let's jump to what everybody's interested in is our water issues that we had. So it's been a rough 2 weeks. Not gonna lie, I tell you what, wow. So we'll start with on 7/17, the morning of 7/17 at approximately 3:17 a.m., well number 4 suffered a major power loss due to a severe lightning strike, causing extensive damage to some of its major components. So like I said, we had Flynn, who we have a contract with to maintain our well pumps and such. Luckily, they were in the area. They had a crane that they could get to us, so they broke off from a local job and came over. Getting everything together took a few days, so what that means is well 4 is our best well. It pumps clear, it pumps 560 gallons a minute. Yeah, up to over 600. And so when that goes down, that's a substantial ding to our system. So Chris is water superintendent, had well 2, 6, and 8 set up, and they're running to keep the city on pressure, right? Well, 8 pumps turbid water. It's unfortunate, but to keep the water levels up so we don't have to do a boil order, and so we have water flowing that's chlorinated and potable, it does have turbidity. So, and the worst side of town to see it is over on, I want to say around the old middle school and high school area, because well 8 pumps predominantly over that direction, so you get a lot of turbid water. And I appreciate the community being patient. It's not something we want to do, but we want to keep everybody with water flowing and such. So once Flynn got in and got the well pump replaced, they shock the well to make sure that, you know, they do everything as clean as they can, but you want to make sure you don't put any bacteria into the water. So unfortunately, when they did their process and departed and we went ahead and tested it, anytime you take a water test, it goes over to Raleigh, it takes 26 hours for that back-T test to get back to us. Unfortunately, it came back and it wasn't good. So for the weekend, we decided, Josh, being a water professional, and Chris, they took it and they re-chlorinated and shocked the well. And so that process, you couldn't get that tested until Monday. So that puts us a few more days of turbidity and stuff in the system. And it was hard going, but we got it cleared out, got a clean samples back, and got the well back online. So we get past that, systematically work around town to make sure that the wells, that the folks there, we open up fire hydrants systematically, and which causes the turbidity to kick up again because it's just settling down into the lines. So we kick that out of the fire hydrants so that we clean up the water for folks. It takes time, it's unfortunate, you don't want to deplete the system too much. So we got through that process and we were all happy, like, okay, great, but things have finally calmed down. Well then, so Saturday, August 10th, the well control system. So over at the water department, there's what's called a SCADA system. It's a supervisory data acquisition system. We've had some variation in place since the 90s. This latest model on the wall was put in roughly 2014. So this controls everything. It's like an autopilot for your pumps to make sure that your water pressure stays up. It calls on pumps to increase flow, decrease flow, and that saves us on electricity and whatnot, right? So that system failed to operate correctly on that Saturday, not bringing any of the wells online to run normal water pressure, and it declined to a PSI, the normal daily usage, it wouldn't support normal daily usage. So the SCADA system is set up to we have 4 people signed up to get notifications. It didn't notify anybody. And then when it did finally zing a notification, it was already too late. The phone was ringing it, and I got called by dispatch. Chris got called, and it was like, hey, we've got a low pressure problem. So run over there. By the time I get to the water department, Chris has already went in and tried to call wells on from the SCADA system, and it's not allowing him to do that. So that tells us the panel's got some issue. So he goes out, flips them off the auto, gets them onto manual, boom, gets pumps up, pressure's up. I want to say 15, 18 minutes? No more than 18 minutes. So kudos to Chris. The whole water crew is kind of surprised to see everybody kind of come screaming up, but we were really stressing about it. Anyway, so once water pressure like that drops down, you run the risk of contaminants or such, or just bugs in general. So what we do is we went into our plan and it said, hey, notify DNR, notify all these folks and everything. And we went ahead and recommended the boil water advisory, which initially we said order because everybody was kind of like hair on fire, not my hair, but hair on fire. And that was a mistake. It was an advisory. DNR calls for orders if they have bad enough tests. So long story long, basically that system failed. We got a hold of the folks that help us with that system. They're troubleshooting it right now to figure out what's going on. Wells are set on manual to make sure that the water pressure stays at a good level. Chris is probably losing sleep going over there every 2 hours to look at it. But they did the tests. Luckily, the tests came back. We had to wait till Monday morning for DNR to say what tests specifically they wanted. And then we went out, took those samples across the city. Those go to Rolla as fast as we could get them over there, 26 hours again for a back T test. And they came back clean. So, it worked out. It's unfortunate, and I'd like to apologize to anybody that was inconvenienced. This was one of those things like a lightning strike. We're not sure. You know how sometimes you can have lightning hit your house and maybe hit your TV, and then later you notice something's funky going on with your microwave or something. You're like, oh, wow, okay, it got this, a residual. So we're going to look into that system and see if anything else was, secondary cause from the lightning strike, and it just didn't get us till this point. So does anybody have any questions? I'm sorry, I'm talking 90 mile an hour.
I don't have any questions, but I just want to thank you guys and the entire team for addressing the issue and acting quickly to get it up and going and sending communications out to the community to make everyone aware. I also want to thank local media and also the county health department just to help get the word out and send information out to keep the public informed on what to do during an advisory. This is the first time since I've been on the board, and I've been on here for nearly 4 years, that the city had to issue some sort of advisory for boil water, and I don't know for many years that the city had to issue one. So it's new to all of us, the city and the community as a whole. So I just want to thank you guys for addressing that. And then thank you for the detailed explanation and the reports for the other departments. Sounds like it's been a very busy past couple of weeks.
I'm not even going to jinx it by saying it, but hopefully smooth sailing for Salem. There I go. So Thank you, appreciate
Roma
it.
Jones has also told me that in her entire time of being health inspector, it's happened towards like the county side occasionally, but inside city limits, she's never had this issue happen. So, and she says it's impressive for a town our size.
Chris McGirt has been in the water, or around the water department for 28 years, and he knows of it happening one time. I mean, and that's because when they work on a lot of stuff, they keep it pressurized, and it keeps the levels up and keeps contaminants out. So kudos to those guys. Like I said, can't say enough about the crews.
Yeah.
So,
Steve, I do have a question for you. I had a citizen reach out and ask me if it's a violation for them to weed eat around a stop sign that's by their home.
no, I would appreciate that. I try to hit them as much as possible. If citizens let the administrative building know about problems, I carry a weed eater with me in my vehicle and I hit those. Fire hydrants as well. I want to make Salem look like a professional, clean place. When you drive through town, I'm picking up trash. I really wish it would catch on, but I feel sometimes like it's people are throwing it out about as fast as I can stop and pick it up. But weed eating, all that stuff, just give me a heads up. We'll take care of it.
He had said that it's much quicker for him to just do it than make the phone call. I told him I would do it, but my husband says I'm too dangerous, so.
Gotcha.
But I told him I would check and I'd get back with him, so.
Yep. Safety first. Just let us know. I appreciate that.
All right.
Anybody else?
All right. Thanks, Steve. Next up, we have Melissa for Parks Report.
Good evening. I won't talk quite as long as he did. I do want people to know flag football registration is open currently. Open the 1st, it's through the 30th. I will be taking flyers to schools. School opens later now, so it's hard to get the word out about flag football registration, so just want the public to be aware. We have started moving toward revamping the Al Brown concession stand. Went in and took everything out of it, power washed it and painted it. And then we're looking into solutions of getting things set up and buying refrigerator and all that stuff to get it set up. I'm hoping to have it up and running for flag football, but I'm not going to promise that because finding equipment might be the issue there, so. And then, really quickly, the pool, it's getting there. It's almost done, so that's progress. It looks really nice. The new liner membrane that they use is a little bit different than what we've had before, and it just looks really nice, clean and crisp, so. Any questions? Ooh, one more thing, and we said at the park board meeting, but we are having issues with wasps, yellow jackets, hornets at the park. They live outside and they're stealthy little boogers. We don't know all the time where they're coming from. We go out there and look periodically, but if somebody sees where they're coming from, to please notify us and we will come and eliminate them. So.
Any questions or no? All right. Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you.
All right, and now it is our reports, starting with Alderwoman Cisco.
Alderman Bojack.
Oh.
I believe our city clerk would like to give a report as well.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, she does it normally.
No, I
Okay,
don't normally,
you're not
but
on
it's
the
just a
list.
short one.
All right.
Brent Young, the street supervisor, and I went to the airport, is it Thursday? Wednesday or Thursday. MoDOT wanted to inspect the airport. They do that about once every 3 years. Our last one was in 2021. And they write a letter and tell us, things of concern and that they want fixed. In 2021, we had 7 items on that letter. This time, we had 1. So all of those things had been fixed. And the one that is still on the letter, he explained it, but I'm not a pilot. Like where the runway, the edges of the runway, there are some trees over here. And he said, unfortunately, that's not our property, but he still has to put that on there, that those trees are there. So it's not something that we can fix because it's not our property, but it is on the letter. So I wanted to thank the street department. I don't think any of them are here. For doing such a great job with that airport and all the work they put in. And, but yeah, that's about it.
Awesome. Thank you
It
for.
was a good inspection.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And it looks like the T-hanger project's making really good progress as well. And so it looks like that's almost done,
Yeah.
I assume, so.
Yeah, final inspection in a couple weeks.
So, awesome. All right, well, thank you. All right, now to Alderwoman Cisco.
I just want to take time to thank the city staff. You guys are awesome. No matter what time of the day that I have to reach out to a superintendent or chief or anybody, they respond right away and get things solved for us. Just this water issue that we've had, just seeing how many hours you all have put in off the clock, not technically off the clock, but not your normal business hours, is just so heartwarming of how much you care about the town that you live in. It's not just a job to you. Some of you literally take this to the extent of City of Salem is your home. And I'm glad that we share that together. This weekend, I had a family gathering at the city park, and I reached out to Melissa and told her that there's like 20 yellow jackets swarming around this one area. It was within 10 minutes that Dustin from the Parks and Recreation Department was at the park with, like, he was ready to take down these hornets or yellow jackets, and ended up coming up on a hornet's nest. So it was just awesome to see him come in, and he was in street clothes on his way to go side-by-side riding, that he stopped off the park to make sure this was taken care of. So your city staff is more than just that. They care about the city that they're working for, and that speaks volumes about a crew that goes beyond. I know the police department does things like that also, so just thank you, simply just thank you. Also, the Parks and Rec met over the last week, and they have a big plan. They're coming up with their next 10-year, 5-year? 3 to 5 year plan. So the way that they've broken this up and have this valued as, they have these big stones, little stones, and they're trying to just see what they can tackle and it not just continue to be a big compiling list. They're trying to exclude some things off of their list, which is pretty impressive because they have big projects in mind, such as the old fairgrounds. They're trying to come up with a plan with that together of what they want to do there. That, you know, there's talk of a soccer field, there's talk of tennis, there's talk of pickleball courts, another park there. They have all of these ideas. It's just nailing down what is going to be the right idea for that property for the time that we're in. So I'm excited to see what the Parks and Recreation Board is going to be doing. They have, but their main focus is what we currently have. How can we revamp or correct what we already have and put your tax dollars to the best use for their plans? So excited to see what they're going to do with that. The fireworks committee, we had a meeting last night. We are trying to go towards the 2025 fireworks, so keep an eye out on plans that we have to do fundraisers for this. I know we have one going to come up this winter. We are planning one for this spring, and then we're also trying to plan for one more before fireworks actually begin. If you are interested in making a donation towards the fireworks, you can always reach out to me at my city email, which is kcisco@salemo.com. Shoot me an email, call me, whichever, and I would be more than happy to let you know where we're needing help at. Other than that, I believe that's all I have to report. I've missed you guys while I've been on vacation.
All right, awesome. Thank you for the report. I don't have much. The only thing I would just say is school is getting ready to start soon, and just to bring some awareness to kids that be maybe walking from and to school. And to watch out for the increased traffic around school zones, and watch out for the school buses and all that good stuff. So just want to wish them a happy new school year for them. And then we'll move on to Alderwoman Dent.
I have no report.
All right. I believe that is all for our meeting tonight, and we'll take a motion for adjournment.
I will move to adjourn.
I second the motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second. I'll call for the vote. Alderwoman Cisco?
Yes.
Alderwoman Dent?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes as well. All right. Thank you, everyone, for attending this evening.